Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the chocolate room.
And welcome to the Coffee and Kramer podcast. I'm Joey Kramer.
And I'm Jennifer Koffee. And we are
Willy Wonka. Oh, sorry. We are Coffee and Kramer. And this week we're going to be talking about Wonka.
We are. Which
was nothing like the original Willy Wonka. So if you're going to watch it and think you're going to get that.
It's a prequel.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's
a prequel.
We'll talk about it coming up. But first, from the original Willy Wonka.
Make a wish. Count to 3. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into
Why you give me that look?
He sings this song in the new movie.
Yeah, you're right. He sings that song, but it's not exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same.
It's a good part. Coming.
If you want to view
paradise, simply look around and view it.
This isn't singing with the Sam.
I'm sorry. So we'll get to it. That's the original and best Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder, of course. I mean, nobody could ever top the original Willy Wonka. Johnny Depp had that horrible film out a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This tops it, in my opinion. It was based on characters by Robert Dahl, screenplay by Simon Farnaby, directed by Paul King.
Is Roald Dahl.
Who?
Not Robert. Roald Dahl.
What did I say? Sorry, Roald Dahl. It says Roald Dahl, so it's Roald Dahl?
Yes.
Sorry.
His name. Based
on characters by Roald Dahl. Produced by David Hyman, starring Timothy Chalamet. Is that the way you pronounce that?
Sounds about right.
You don't even know if that's the way you pronounce it. But Timothy Chalamet as Willy Wonka, Kala Lane as Noodle, who is an orphan who becomes Wonka's assistant. Keegan Michael Kay as the chocolate-addicted chief of police. Patterson Joseph as Arthur Slugworth. Matt Lucas as Gerald Prodnos, a corrupt businessman and member of the Chocolate Cartel. And Sally Hawkins is as Mrs. Wonka. Who else was a major? What's his name? Hugh Grant was in it. Hugh Grant was Lofty. He was an Oompa Loompa who becomes Wonka's ally, and he was the best part of this entire extravaganza.
He was one of the best parts. He was funny.
This film was everything why I do not like musicals.
Oh, come on!
All wrapped up into one. Hugh Grant made the film. If it wasn't for Hugh Grant, I probably would have lost the consciousness.
I think you're being a little hard on them because Hugh Grant wasn't in it all that much.
I know, and he had the best parts. He was in it quite a bit. I mean, he was probably in at least 30 minutes in a movie. Now, the movie was, if you're running about length time, guys, before your significant other says, let's watch it, it was 116 minutes. It was a budget of $125 million and it had a worldwide box office of $632.3 million. Made $400 million in $218 million in the United States, which wasn't that great.
No.
You'd think it would make more than that. The original Willy Wonka was a big flop. Nobody went to see it, just like nobody went to see Wizard of Oz and nobody went to see Grease 2. I'm including Grease.
Except for you.
But no, the original Willy Wonka was not a very, it wasn't received very well. It became a cult classic, although my parents don't remember ever seeing it, which it was on CBS every year.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz was always on. Willy Wonka was always around. Where would I have seen these movies except for I didn't have a Laserdisc player yet until I was like 19 years old. And do you remember video cassettes cost like $100 to buy?
I remember.
If you wanted to buy a brand new one, they were $100 beta or VHS. And there was I don't think we rented movies until maybe middle school, 8th, 9th grade.
Probably.
Because it was like $100.
It was a big thing, though, to go rent a movie. It was exciting.
And there was a place, Video World,
Yep.
that was near us. And it was $100 for the membership.
Yep.
In order to join, it was $100. And then you were able to rent your movies. And I think it was like $3 for a night or something like that.
Something like that.
And the other General Radio over in
It was like taking out a book. You always were late coming back.
Everybody was always late. But I
remember end up paying the overdue fine.
I always remember on Friday, me and my friends, his father would go over to General Radio on Friday. He would take us there, and we would pick out movies for the weekend
Gotcha.
to watch. We'd get like 3 movies at General Radio. I think that was the only time I was ever in General Radio. But anyway, back to this movie.
I thought it did a good job as a prequel.
It
gave us more insight. It did.
It really did.
There was a lot of things that we're seeing that were connected to the original movie.
As in?
Okay, his coin, when he flips a coin up in the air, and the coin falls in the drain, and then in the original one, he finds a coin in the drain, and that's where he buys the candy bar that wins him the magic ticket. He keeps opening. That's number 1. He keeps opening the candy bar that his mother gave to him, which kind of takes a nod to the golden ticket in the candy bars.
Well, that I understand, but
why he had the golden ticket in the candy bars.
The whole coin thing, I don't know what
it was just a reference to it because
what the
of
value
the fact.
was. What was the value they used? The dollar amount?
I don't know what the dollar amount was, but it still referenced it.
He was down to 1. We'll say $1. Well, that's not what it was. And he flipped it up in the air, and it fell into a grate. Now, we're going on the premise that
Charlie Bucket found a coin in the grate, and that's what he bought his ticket.
We're going on the premise now that Willy Wonka in this movie is probably 22 years old.
Yes.
Now, it was probably at least he opened up his...
It doesn't matter. He was magic.
He opened up his chocolate factory, and then probably about 20 to 25 years later...
He was magic.
Charlie Bucket comes and finds the exact same gold piece or whatever it was in the
drain, and that's what he buys his ticket with, his candy bar with.
I see the link, like why they would do it, but it made absolutely... And where was the everlasting Gobstopper? Because
that was the whole thing with Slugworth.
But
then it told the story of Slugworth and why he was so against Slugworth and why there was a whole war between him and Slugworth.
Now, part of the second movie, of course, was when Grandpa and Charlie drank the fizzy lifting drink.
Yes.
And went all the way up to the top of the ceiling, almost got caught in a fan until they started to belch. And
the first candy he sold or gave away was the hover chalks, which people flew in the air.
But he says in that movie, in the original Willy Wonka, that it was something he's still working on.
Well, he was still working on it,
It was one of his recent inventions that he was still working on.
Yes.
So why wasn't the whole thing based on the everlasting Gobstopper?
It just wasn't. It just didn't make sense.
I mean, why not? You make the everlasting... Here's a candy I invented that will last forever.
Yeah.
You'll only have to buy this one piece, and it'll last forever. There was no mention of hover chocolate in Willy Wonka.
There wasn't hover chocolate.
That's what it was called. It was called Wonka Introduces Hover Chalks. Chocolates that make people fly.
I understand that. And it was fizzy lifting drink. So it was something different, but yet had the same spin on his floating.
But anyway, there's a chocolate cartel, apparently.
Yes.
And the chocolate cartel, one of their rules is you cannot sell chocolate unless you have a storefront.
Correct.
Now, Willy Wonka was penniless. He made he went to this
wash house, and Mrs. Scrubbit, I think her name was, she was in charge of it. Gave him a long contract to read, and for one coin, one coin, he'd be able to stay there. Now, although the contract was huge, in there it said that everything was extra, like a regular hotel is. Well, in the contract, we go back to the contract that he made the kids sign before they walked into the chocolate factory with the really fine print, and he kind of rushed them through it, and at the end he used that against them.
But in this one, Wonka couldn't read.
Yes, but it was
Which
still
is
the
why he
contract
did
with
it.
all this fine print.
So basically, he just did to others what was done to him.
Yes, basically.
So he's not a nice guy.
Nobody said he was. It was a very dark movie.
Willy Wonka, the point of, he was a very dark guy. He wasn't
Exactly.
in love with kids.
No.
You know, he closed his factory for years.
Yes.
Didn't let anybody in there. So anyway, he goes with this Scrubbick lady or whatever her name was. That was the right thing?
Yes, you're right.
And there's other captives. Noodle, who's, I guess, like his companion through the whole.
She is.
She follows him everywhere. And there's a bunch of different people down there. All are going to help Willie now become a chocolatier.
Yes.
Now, he does eventually, he starts going into, what do you call them, manholes?
Mm-hmm. The storm drains
all over the
manholes.
city. And by magic, he would sell the chocolate and then disappear through the manholes.
Correct.
They finally caught up to him.
Correct.
So then he buys, now again, this is a guy who's penniless, basically. Even with the money that he's making at these, your animals are going to drive me crazy.
I know. Well, sorry.
Even though he's, are you kidding me?
I don't know what to tell you.
You know, this is what happens.
He's been crying all day. I don't know what you want.
You have no longer, you have children that are bothering you. You now have the dog and the cat. The cat is underneath here.
Yes.
Which doesn't like that, which I'm going to kick him. If you can hear, I'm kicking. I'm not kicking the cat, by the way. I'm kicking the garbage can to get the cat. And there he goes. Being locked in a dungeon at the laundromat wouldn't be much different than what I'm going through right now. Anyway.
And they train the dog to keep up the works of the dungeon while they're doing chocolate.
Yeah, they do that. But here's my point. Like, he said he was on the streets selling this chocolate, and through the whole thing, he says, I'm not even making enough money to ever pay anything off. I'm losing money. So where does he get? Now, he opens this factory.
He was magic.
He opens this factory, which is everything you could possibly dream of. It is huge. Everything is made edible. Now, it's not the factory we saw in Willy Wonka. That comes later.
It's a castle.
The one at the end is a castle. The one he does like a storefront, like a bank or something. But this place had a cost.
Well, he got the money from the money that they paid off Noodle with.
The money they paid off Noodle
They paid
with.
off Miss Scrubbit for them to keep Noodle, to keep it under wraps. But then when Miss Scrubbit got arrested, the money...
Yeah, but that happened way after this, though.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did, because they ended up infiltrating the thing, and they ended up, remember, they put the stuff in the...
Yep.
Anyway, he has this huge thing. He's doing really well. People are in it. They're singing. They're dancing, all this stuff. And then they find out that there's poison in the chocolate.
It causes hair to grow.
Hair to grow, turning green, turning into monsters and everything. They get closed down. And eventually, it comes out that, Scrubbit is behind all this. And yes, you're right. They eventually find her. And all this money comes back to him to buy out all the people in the laundromat, except for Noodle, right? So that's when he gets the money. So is he using Noodle the whole time?
No, he didn't use Noodle the whole time.
He used Noodle just to get his hands on money.
I wouldn't say that.
If you're going to get a dog and they say, oh, we give the smartest dog a border collie / German shepherd. God, what a great dog that would be. Run as fast as you possibly can. Because having a border collie and having a German shepherd at separate times was fantastic. However, having one that is a combination of the two, she wants to play now. Out of all times, she wants to play. Doesn't care about anything else. She wants to play, and she wants to play right now. All right, as we continue here, sorry about that. I had to pause so we could get rid of our animals out of the... She was nonstop. She's underneath my feet. She's chasing the cat. She's trying to... It's your dog.
Yeah, I know.
What are you... You have
I'm
to see.
frozen.
You have to see what Jennifer Koffee looks like right now. She has a blanket covering her head. She looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The draft is getting the back of my neck. The wind is blowing and it's hitting the back of my neck. And I don't like that. It's making me cold.
Anyway, Hugh Grant's character. Talk about Lofty. Because he's introduced through the movie as this somebody who Willy Wonka really screwed by taking this chocolate off his island that made you fly. Lofty now has to go and get this chocolate back, so he is accepted back in
Oompa
Loompa Land. Now, this is my problem here. The Oompa Loompas in Willy Wonka, I mean, they were small, but they weren't tiny. This Oompa Loompa was probably about a foot tall.
Which made Hugh Grant even funnier.
I mean,
his head on this little tiny Oompa Loompa.
It was about, maybe he was 18 inches tall at the most.
Yeah.
But
he ends up being on his side at the end, which is what goes with.
What happened to, in the original one, him saying that they asked where the Oompa Loompas came, and he said he got them from Oompa Land.
He was a magician. He was a storyteller. He
they
told
were being
stories.
eaten by the Snuffleupagus.
Well, he's not going to tell him that he did something bad.
I'm just saying.
He tried to make it sound like he was doing something good, saving them.
But why wouldn't they have just wrote that in that he found them on his land?
Well, they were trying to make him be
And I mean,
evil
what if he
first.
found them beforehand, and when he came originally, the Oompa Loompas were with him, and they were like his helpers, trying to get everything.
But they weren't. That's not how the story was written.
But I don't understand. And in between all this, by the way, every time somebody has to go to the bathroom, they sing. I'm going to the bathroom right now. Would you like to come with me? Yes, I would. No, you won't. Yes, you would. No, I won't.
That's not true. It
Throughout the
wasn't
whole
that much.
entire movie, that yes, they sang at the most and not the songs like in Willy Wonka, which were catchy and enjoyable, like Oompa Loompa.
They did sing that song.
Very little of it.
They sang that song. They sang Pure Imagination.
Pure Imagination. They played the instrumental of most of the movie, and then at the end,
he sang it when he was in his factory.
When he was finally in his factory. But anyway, Slugworth and the cartel, their one job was to take down Willy Wonka.
Well,
And
anybody that came into
anybody
town
who came into town
was against them.
And they were behind the poisoning of the chocolate. They were in with Mrs. Scribbits, and they didn't want anybody, because apparently chocolate was like worth more than gold.
Well, according to the police officer, the police chief that would eat it all.
The police chief, that was kind of funny. The police chief started out as this like 120-pound guy, and by the end of the movie, he weighed like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
He was like,
they were buying him off. They were buying him off in chocolate.
Because they kept on buying. But as it went on, Lofty ended up helping Wonka.
Yes.
Because Wonka and him went on to he basically got told, if you leave, all your friends will be safe, but you could never come back here again or make chocolate. So they put him on a boat, ship, whatever, and him and Lofty are on a boat, and the boat ends up being blown up.
Yes.
However, Wonka survives.
He does.
As does Lofty.
He does.
And they make it back to this. What was the name of the place they were in anyway?
The church?
Let's see. Europe. He arrives in Europe to establish his chocolate shop at the Gallerias Gourmet, burning through his meager savings. He's an aspiring magician. So he's not really a magician. He's an aspiring magician.
Well, he does magic. He does magic.
But anyway, they blow up the ship. They come back down. Everybody gets freed. And of course, in the end, his big thing was he wanted to make his mother proud.
The other thing was when he was in the chocolate. You know how like in the original movie when Augustus Gloop falls in the chocolate river?
That was funny.
Well, he understands, like he makes comments when Augustus Gloop is in the chocolate river, like, he knows what it's like to be in the chocolate. Well, in the new movie Wonka, he floats to the ceiling in chocolate and almost dies by chocolate, drowning.
Oh, yeah, he almost gets drowned.
So again, it's another like flashback to what it's like.
Another flashback.
Yes, it's another, as they call it, Easter egg.
Oompa, loompa, loompa-dee-doo. I've got a
Now, incidentally, this is the music from the original Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
I'm not even giving any airtime to the music from the other one because it was terrible.
It was not terrible.
It was terrible.
No, it was
It
not.
was absolutely terrible. Here, I'll look up some of the original of the Wonka. Here's the Wonka musical soundtrack right here. So, just to give you an idea of what kind of music is in this.
You're probably going to get a commercial.
No. This is A Hatful of Dreams.
Well, it was a different
All
kind
right,
of
just
movie.
listen.
I've pinned 7 years of hopes on lies just over the horizon. I can hear the harbor bells.
You're terrible. I didn't think it was boring.
Boy. Got a tattered overcoat and battered suitcase. Got a pair of leaky boots.
Here's another one from the movie. You've never
you're
had
picking only
You've never
things
had
The
chocolate like
taxis
this.
never stop. The girls think you're a flop. You're wet and cold, you're getting old, your confidence is shot.
It's true.
When people look at you, they seem to look straight through, or like you're something brown they found upon the bottom of their shoe.
Have you been following me?
But this should lift the
So what's wrong with this?
Boring. Here, Oompa Loompa. This is Hugh Grant.
He gets his milk from giraffes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. To get that milk from a giraffe. I didn't even know you could milk a giraffe. Could you?
We looked. You
I
can.
guess you could. I thought they laid eggs.
Giraffes are mammals, so.
Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-doo. I've got a tragic tale for you. Oompa, loompa,
It's amazing they have British accents in Oompa Loompa Land.
Yeah, Oompa Loompa Land's British.
Yeah, Loompa Land is both luscious and green.
It's crazy.
Not conducive to growing the bean.
And then, of course, there was the Pure Imagination, which they had tucked in at the. They played the instrumental throughout, but they had it tucked in at the end of the movie.
They did.
What was once just in your imagination?
They couldn't do the exact same thing.
Shy. It's all
I don't know. I'm just sick of Hollywood taking all of my shows and movies and destroying them.
I don't think they destroyed your show. Again, it was a prequel. It wasn't just a remake
know,
of
but
Willy
Willy-
Wonka.
Everybody I've talked to that's seen Wonka, that like is my age, that has seen it, is like, ugh, why?
Well,
was this necessary?
I don't know if it was necessary. I agree with that. But I think in terms of prequels, I think it was a decent job of a prequel. I thought it was an enjoyable watch. I mean, is it something I would watch 2,500 times like we would watch Willy Wonka? Probably not. But I think it was interesting to see how the take on it was
But
and
to
how
see,
they
if
did
there was
it.
a real interest in this, there would have been a prequel back in the 1980s about, which
sure.
I want to see.
Hollywood
is,
has lost their inventiveness.
which I
for
want to
new
see,
movies.
which I will never see, is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I want to see the sequel to Willy Wonka.
Oh, yeah,
because
what happens?
once Charlie goes through that roof,
Yes.
and now he owns the chocolate factory. That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah. Oh, and I agree.
Now there was a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, I think, but not like to the extent that it was in the movies and everything else. I think it was a cartoon.
Might have been.
But anyway, at the end of this, Wonka and Noodle expose the cartel's misdeeds to the authorities and the public. They release the cartel's chocolate reserve through a fountain, now laced with Wonka's unique ingredients, ruining the cartel's enterprise. And the cartel meets their downfall. Police arrest the corrupt chief. The public revels in tasting Wonka's chocolate. And Wonka unwraps the last chocolate bar his mother had given him, discovering a
Golden ticket.
with a message that says, the secret is not the chocolate that matters, but who you share it with. And he splits the bar into 6 pieces
And
to share
again,
with his friends before reuniting Noodle with her mother, Dorothy Smith. He then settles his debt with Lofty, who,
did he not try to share the chocolate with everybody when he got the chocolate in the original?
it was crazy, and finds an abandoned castle for sale to start building his own chocolate factory with Lofty as his tasting chef. So there you go.
Did they? What the?
Bang. Go ahead.
Noodle. We found out was connected to the cartel, but does it say on there in like they never really specify how Noodle was? Did they say that in the?
Well, yeah, they told Noodle came
was
there.
Noodle ended up being Slugworth's daughter or?
Well, that's what they think
They
happened.
lead you to believe. I didn't know if
believe.
they say something.
They don't come out and say it, but they basically
It's
kind
his
of
illegitimate child.
yeah.
and
That's the end.
they hid her away so she would tell anybody that.
He didn't want an illegitimate child, and they just gave her to the laundromat.
Yeah.
Imagine if we gave Sammy to the laundromat. Or Tony, either one of them.
I don't know.
So that's the conclusion of Wonka, our very first movie review here on Koffee and Kramer. Now it is my turn.
Are we giving it 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down?
Well, let's see.
Or how are we going to rate it?
This will be 1 to 10 Wonka bars.
1 to 10 Wonka bars?
So I'll give this.
And 1 being the worst, 10 being the best?
Obviously.
Okay.
So out of 10 Wonka bars, I will give this.
And what is that based on?
God.
Is that based on like if you'd see it again, if you
It's
liked
based
it?
on everything.
What are we
If you-
basing it on? Okay.
Everything. Your overall Wonka. This is how many Wonka bars would you give this?
That's a hard one.
1 being the absolute worst, 10 being at the absolute best. I will give it 3.5 Wonka bars.
See, I was going to give it 6 Wonka bars. I mean, it
Fine.
wasn't.
You give it whatever you want to give it.
Like I said, it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen. It's not something I'm going to watch 100 times, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty decently done prequel, and I enjoyed it.
So what we're going to do next time is we're going to go back to the Old West.
Oh no,
And we are going to.
we're not watching westerns.
Okay, this wasn't the agreement. The agreement
we
was that
wanna watch a
I am
Western.
just. We're not. You know what we're going to watch?
What?
Maybe we'll watch The Postman.
Oh no!
You made me sit through Wonka.
I didn't make you sit through anything because you didn't even sit through it.
Are you
couldn't
kidding?
sit still for 5
And
minutes.
I did not miss 1 second of Oompa Doompa.
Okay.
I didn't miss any of this movie. So you can't. Is this the way it's going to go? You pick a movie, I have to watch it. I pick a movie, and you decide, I don't want to watch that. You can't. I'm not going to make you watch The Lonesome Dove, which is like a mini series. I'm not about to do that to you.
Okay.
But what and I'll do it this way. What is a movie? I'll even give you your choice before we get into the movie that I really am going to make you watch.
So it doesn't matter. Don't even give me a choice.
No, what I'm saying is, what is a movie that I've loved and watched that you have never seen that you will sit down and watch and tell me and let we could talk about it the next week.
I don't know.
No, I mean there's so many movies that you've never seen, and I mean have you? Seriously.
I've probably never seen The Godfather all the way through.
There you go. So
I've probably never seen Star Wars all the way through.
Next week.
I've probably never seen, I can give you a bunch.
Next week, we will, or do you want to just do?
I haven't seen all the Rockies either, for that matter.
It's amazing. I have close to 3,000 DVDs, 4Ks, and Blu-rays in this house.
I watch them with you. I just fall asleep halfway through.
Exactly, and she never
so it's
watches
not that I don't watch them
anything.
with you. I just
Anything.
fall asleep before they end. So it's not that I don't try to watch them with you. We sit down, we cuddle, we have some popcorn, we watch a movie, and then I fall asleep.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it easy now. I'm not going to name a specific movie. What I'm going to tell you is that this week we are going to watch my favorite genre of movies, which is what?
Westerns.
No, not West. I mean that's no, it's not a Western. Westerns are one of my favorite, but this is my favorite type of movie to watch.
A horror movie.
Found footage.
A horror found
So
footage
we are
movie.
going to. I have literally hundreds of found footage movies.
I don't mind found footage movies.
Okay, that's
I'm okay
good.
with that. Except I don't like, what was the one we watched that I couldn't even watch the whole thing of?
Terrifier. We're gonna watch
I can't watch
Terrifier.
the
Don't worry,
Terrifier.
that's gonna come down. But
nope.
you
I
can't
almost-
say no to
I
anything.
almost lost my cookies during
It doesn't
the
matter.
Terrifier.
So
no, I can't.
We are going to do a found footage movie this
Get
week.
ready
I'm
then. I'm going to find the
not
biggest
sure
chick
which-
flick movie ever.
I'm not. Wonka was bad enough.
No, it wasn't a chick flick.
Why don't we watch Endless Love? or Terms of Endearment.
Maybe we'll watch Beaches again on my turn.
Well, I watched the remake of Beaches, even better.
Okay, there you go.
So next week, we are going to pick a found footage movie that we are going to watch. I'm not sure which one is, but next week is going to be...
Is it Terrifier found footage? Because I don't want to watch Terrifier.
I don't know what it is or not, but...
I'm not watching the Terrifier.
You can't... This isn't the way this goes.
I am okay with your picks, but the Terrifier's not one.
Then I'll never watch a chick flick.
I didn't say that. I didn't say I would never watch it. I'm not watching the Terrifier, though.
Terrifier's not found footage.
Okay, as long as it's not found footage.
But
I'll watch any found footage.
Oh, you're going to love the one I pick. Okay. I have a couple in mind.
All right.
So next week on Coffee and Kramer, we're gonna take a look at some found footage, found footage movie.
Okay.
Which you'll complain about. And that means you got to watch it. You can't fall asleep.
I don't promise anything.
If you fall asleep, then we got to watch another one, too.
That's not fair.
All right, that's going to do it for Coffee and Kramer this week, our review of Wonka. We'll be back next week, and we will take on a found footage movie that she loves.
I'm Jennifer Coffee.
I'm Joey Kramer. We are Coffee and Kramer. Next week, we're going to find a film. We're going to watch it. Found footage coming right at you. Get ready. And don't forget to listen to Decades with Joey Kramer this Saturday night.